What is up, RotoGrinders? Welcome to the Lineup HQ Showdown Edition. First look, we got Pittsburgh, we got Baltimore, a division showdown, and we're going to hopefully help you take down some money in these NFL showdown contests as well. My name is TJ Zwarich, TJ_Zwarich5, ZWARYCH on Twitter, and I'm joined by Tasteful Tides, Tim Buell. How you doing?
Good, man. Good. Happy New Year to you. We were just talking about the main slate today, how we might not have all the right pieces, but we're not dead yet. So we'll see.
I'm going to call this the Sunday Salties. Now, happy New Year to everybody watching, but the quick tilt before we check into the showdown, for me, I wanted to get to George Kittle, but I didn't know what cheap play I'd pair it with to make my lineup work, and I ended up going with Miles Sanders and Evan Ingram, and obviously the ticket was no Evan Ingram for one, as he's got 0 at the half, but we needed some Travis Etienne in this one. It looked like you got no Etienne either. We're fighting for min cash, it seems.
Yes, definitely. You're not gonna win all the money without Etienne today. That's the bottom line.
Well, hopefully things change a little bit in the second half and things get adjusted. My Algier and Brian Robinson, even though Robinson got vultured by Wentz, I still kind of feel okay about that. But yeah, the lack of Etienne with going Miles Sanders instead is going to be hurtful, but doesn't matter because we got the showdown slate to talk about. We're going to win all of our money there today anyways. We're going to start things off on DraftKings. We're going to take some questions from the Discord live stream chat. After that, we're going to go to YouTube. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube, you subscribe, you hit the like button, you hit that little notification bell. And let's just start getting into this a little bit. Who are you, like, what's your general take on this game before we start talking about the captains and the lineup builds? We got a 1.5 point spread with Baltimore favored at home.
Well, my overall thought is it's gonna be pretty ugly with a 35-point total. I'm not expecting a whole lot of fireworks in this game, and I'm sure that's what the field's gonna be thinking also. It's just it's gonna be about kind of pivoting it away from some of the higher owned guys and trying. I think you're gonna have to get kind of real different in your captain spots on DK. It kind of reminds me of the Dallas Titans game where Schultz won all the money at captain at 4%. You're gonna have to kind of embrace that, being uncomfortable at captain to really be in the top, 0.1% of GPPs.
Makes sense completely. If we're talking optimally, not yet in our tournament pivots, but we're just trying to get all right, this is in some 50-50s, triple ups, quintuple ups, single entry, that kind of thing. Starting on DraftKings, who are you liking to place at the captain position from a optimal perspective? For me, it just seems a little too easy to go Tyler Huntley here, projected for the most fantasy points, running quarterback on the team that is favored, not very expensive to get to, almost a $2,000 discount over a guy like Najee Harris. Tyler Huntley, to me, is the easy plug and play from an optimal perspective at the captain position.
Yeah, my first instinct would be Kenny Pickett, but Huntley's fine. If you want to go Huntley, we can start with that.
And I'm totally fine with either of them. The only reason I really kind of went with Huntley first here is just based on
the projection.
That projection there, kind of feeling all right. Well, if we're going to go optimal, that projection hits it there. But neither of these guys feel very expensive. I think it can kind of work if we just plug in both of these QBs. What about you?
Yeah, definitely. I think we definitely should do that.
Now, Cards knows my typical style is pay for the spend ups and find some punts that I think are going to be either on the field a lot or having some red zone appearances. But I'm not too sure about a slate like today. If we plug in the next highest projected, the next highest owned guy in Najee Harris, that doesn't leave us a lot here for the rest of our lineups. 5-3 at the rest of our positions. Definitely doable just because no one is very expensive in this game. What do you think? Are we plugging in Harris as well? I feel like if this is sort of our cash/optimal build, we probably want to have him.
I don't. I have no interest in Harris today.
Okay, good, because I don't want to play him either.
I really I don't think Baltimore is like really prevents like explosive rushes. So and they're fourth in rush DVOA. So this is a really bad spot for Najee.
So
Especially if we're building this lineup from like an optimal perspective. I don't think that you should be playing Najee in any kind of like, double up, triple up type scenario. If you want to play him in large field just to be, different, that's fine. But I don't think he's a good play today.
So 50% ownership coming in on Najee, if not more, at the flex position. That's kind of what I was making me feel like. I guess he's the optimal guy based on projections in this spot, but that's my tournament take, is I don't want to play him either. The only place I want to play Najee Harris today is either at the captain position with the Pittsburgh defense in a very specific build, or with the Pittsburgh defense at the captain position and then getting Najee in that lineup as well. And that's kind of the only place I want to play him today. So with both of us on the same page there, I think in our single entry lineup build we're going here, let's fade him because neither of us like him all that much. Who would be the next spot you'd be wanting to go to here? I'm thinking if we have Tyler Huntley in the captain position, I'd probably want to get Mark Andrews in there.
Yeah, so we're just kind of doing a little bit opposite of what I wanted to do, is like go Pickett and then Freiermuth, Pickett at captain, then Freiermuth, but we can go and then. So if you're going to do Huntley at captain and do Andrews at your next flex spot.
And I think we can even fit Freiermuth in our lineup as well. You're basically, I think, kind of choosing one of Freiermuth, Pickens, or Johnson. Maybe you want to go both if we can find a cheap player that fits in this lineup as well. But Pat Freiermuth, Kenny Pickens, or Deontay Johnson all fit in that spot well. I think I like Pickens the best, Freiermuth the second best, and Deontay Johnson third. I think that's kind of how I would prioritize these guys here. But it does depend on the salary you're rolling with as well. If we need to save salary, we're not going to fill out the whole lineup. We're going to leave a bit to the imagination here, but we need to find a salary saver to make the rest of our lineup work here. Who are some of the players that you're wanting to go with in that regard?
So we have Huntley as captain, Pickett in the flex, Andrews in the flex. What do we have left per player?
Just under 6K per player. So there are some interesting tournament options like Deshaun Jackson, who could catch a long one, sub 10% ownership, that all of a sudden leaves us a lot of dollars left to get to those Pittsburgh pass catchers. And there's also a guy like Isaiah Likely, Sammy Watkins, like all of these Baltimore pass catchers are fairly inexpensive.
I mean, if we're building this more from like an optimal standpoint, you should go like Kyle Tucker and then Freiermuth. I mean, really.
Justin Tucker.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Tucker.
I mean, unless Kyle Tucker is going to come in and hit a home run tonight.
Right.
How viable he's going to be. But I agree, Justin Tucker's the guy.
Justin Tucker and then Freiermuth. I mean, how much do we have after?
Leaves you 6,300, which is kind of in a little bit of a dead zone because you got Demarcus Robinson up at 68 and then nobody down for until Gus Edwards. But Ravens defense is potentially viable. Gus Edwards is potentially viable if you don't, and you can leave some salary on the table. If you don't want to be leaving some salary on the table, you can go up to George Pickens, and then all of a sudden that leaves you still the rest of these options here.
Or Deontay.
Or Deontay Johnson as well. And that's the potential other option I was looking at, like why I don't mind somebody like an Isaiah Likely today on DraftKings at $1,600, just because all of a sudden I can play Freiermuth and Pickens, Freiermuth and Deontay, or Pickens and Deontay, and I can still kind of get him in there, which does fit your Kenny Pickett in the captain position lineup very well also. But if we're trying to get very different today, we're trying to get way off the board, who do you like at the captain position? Because Huntley's going to be the highest owned, Pickett's going to be the second highest owned. Andrews obviously coming in at third. Neither of us like Najee very much, who's coming in fourth. If I was going to play Najee, it would probably be here. You can go to one of the defenses, but even that's not going to be like that crazy low owned here. To me, unless this ownership adjusts and it's slightly off in this first look we're getting right now, my two favorite captains by a fairly large margin are going to be, in terms of contrarian options, are going to be Deshaun Jackson and Justin Tucker.
Yeah, and then I would throw in Fryermuth. I love Fryermuth today, so I would definitely put him in as a captain at 6%. So he's pretty contrarian.
Yeah, definitely not too bad at all. I think I don't know. I think I like Pickens a little bit better. I just like, having said that, I'm thinking I got a very FanDuel focused mind. You know what I mean? I like a guy who's going to catch a long touchdown in that spot to be contrarian. But from
on DK, it's more kind of about volume, and
it's the other way, right? That's
right,
why we
yeah,
probably like Deontay Johnson and Pat Fryermuth with all these targets and all these receptions.
right. So for me on DK, it would be Fryermuth if you want to get off the board. But honestly, I mean, Pickens at 2% captain ownership, at 12.6K, that's nobody's going to go there. So if he happens to have that ceiling performance, you will be all alone and probably doing amazing in a large field GPP.
To me, one of the most interesting routes is just like if we're really going to get a sub 1% owned Justin Tucker, I don't think it's that unlikely that Justin Tucker is the highest scoring Baltimore player today. Like he's the, I think, fourth highest projected player, fifth highest projected Baltimore player, but the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, ninth highest owned at the captain position. So that feels like some pretty good leverage to me. If this is a defensive game and Pittsburgh's defense is able to just stop Baltimore when they get to the red zone or sack them so they get to kick some longer field goals, I really like Tucker in that position on DraftKings today in tournaments to get some leverage on the field. Let's swap it over to FanDuel here. See if there's any big differences salary wise. Oh, there you go. This was my core today for my single entry team for the main slate, but I'll pivot this over to the showdown game we got tonight, Pittsburgh as well as Baltimore at the MVP position here. Huntley's still going to be my favorite. Is Pickett still your favorite from an optimal perspective?
Yeah, I mean, Huntley, you could make a better case for Huntley just because he's a little cheaper than Pickett, but I still prefer Pickett, even on FanDuel. Perfect.
Looking at this one right now, I think we go with Huntley there. And then I'm all aboard the Najee Harris fade Najee Harris train here on FanDuel as well. But what do you think about rocking? Like we're going Pickett and Huntley here as well.
Yeah. I mean, you really want to monopolize the touchdowns on FanDuel. So going double quarterback, while it's quite chalky, I think it's still the smart thing to do.
I'm with you there as well. And then especially with the Huntley at quarterback position, one of the players that I notice as just like the best clear space for value on FanDuel is going to be Demarcus Robinson. I think him at 8K is going to be one of my favorite plays on this FanDuel slate because that's just a little bit too cheap for him. We got all the other number one receivers with obviously the Mark Andrews, the George Pickens, and the Deontay Johnsons up and even Fryermuth up above 11K. But then we got Demarcus Robinson here, who, even though Andrews is going to get the most targets, Robinson is the guy that I view as the best salary saving option. We can plug Mark Andrews here as well, and then all of a sudden, bang, you fit Fryermuth, you fit Justin Tucker, kind of anybody you want there. This is my favorite way to build a single entry / close to optimal build on FanDuel, and then leaving that for any one of these guys you want, like a Fryermuth or a Tucker or a defense, or you can save salary in tournaments and go with a Deshaun Jackson's Watkins or Likely. What do you think about that beginning build?
The only part that I kind of don't like is that I don't trust Huntley to be able to throw like enough touchdowns, like to have two of his pass catchers with him. That's the only issue. Like, I don't see this game really playing out like that. That's like just me being devil's advocate. Obviously, all those players will be on the field. It's not it's not bad. That's not how I think. I just think this game is going to be so like not a lot of touchdowns, right? So like, I almost think that if you're building more optimal, you have to have a kicker in. Like, you can't lean on two Baltimore pass catchers, I think.
That makes sense to me. And like, if we take out Demarcus Robinson here, leave that as more of a tournament play. If Huntley is your MVP with him being sub 10% there, you start your lineup with Huntley, Pickett, and Andrews. You think this is going to be a low touchdown game? Well, bang, both of those kickers fit perfectly in your lineup. You think it's going to be a little higher scoring? You can mix in either a Pickens or a Deontay Johnson with a Sammy Watkins or Deshaun Jackson, or you can go with the Freiermuth and Demarcus Robinson route, mix in one kicker, mix in no kickers, depending on how you want to go about it. But I think your first three you're entering are Andrews, Pickett, and Huntley from an optimal perspective. If we want to get different at the MVP position, we're going to see plus 20% for both Pickens and Huntley. If I were to guess, it's probably going to be plus 30% for Pickens and Huntley in the single entry stuff. You always see kind of people go into the quarterbacks a little bit more in those. We talked about needing the touchdowns here. To me, this is where I want to get a little less of the Deontay Johnsons at a 7%. To me personally, I don't really like playing the 7-8% guys at MVP. Like, you still have to get different than a lot of other people. Like, I like playing either the optimal MVP and differentiating my lineup somewhere else, or getting way off the board at MVP. And with all you need for that to happen, especially in a low scoring game like this, is a touchdown or two from a skill position player like we saw from Dalton Schultz the other day. I would way rather, instead of playing Mark Andrews, Deontay Johnson, J.K. Dobbins. I mean, Dobbins is sub 5, so that's a little bit better, and you can see a specific game script to him getting it. But, like, Ravens defense, George Pickens, Justin Tucker, Demarcus Robinson, Pat Freiermuth, Deshaun Jackson, all of these today just feel like phenomenal tournament captains, MVPs, sorry. And if I was going to run 150 lineups, I think I'd try and get like 5 to 10% of all of these guys in the MVP position.
If you put Tucker in as MVP, what do you have remaining for salary?
Over 12K per position. So like that's the thing with FanDuel, right? Is you don't have to worry about the salary thing at the MVP position, but like you can still do, you go your Tucker at MVP, you can still do both of your QBs, you mix in your defenses, and you got less than 1% owned Tucker. I bet you he's probably closer to 2 or 3% owned, but it's still going to be very low. And if you split, it's not going to be with very many people. If you leave salary on the table, then you're probably not even going to be splitting.
Right. Yeah, no, I like that. And I also don't mind my guy Freiermuth for FanDuel MVP.
Just because they're all getting so low owned, like I would way rather just take multiple bullets there as opposed to going with 20% Najee Harris. You know what I mean? Quarterbacks are one thing, but
quarterbacks are one thing, but I definitely wouldn't play Harris. I don't even have interest in him in the flats, so I definitely wouldn't play him at MVP. It's just not. I'd rather play J.K. Dobbins at 4%.
Yeah, 100% me there as well. Gonna start peeking over at Discord first, the NFL, as well as the live stream chat, see if we got any questions, then poking it over to YouTube. We got some Happy New Year's coming. Happy New Year, TJ and Tim. Happy New Year to Steve in the back as well. Happy New Year to Derek in chat. Make sure you're hitting the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. Subscribe, all of that. And of course, we'll take questions always in the Discord chat as well. I'm going to be back on Crunch Time, NFL and NBA combined, breaking this one down with Britt Devine, talking some NBA, and then we're going to talk some NFL as well. If there's any random late injuries or when we get some closer ownership on here, we will be able to break it down even further. I'm very interested to see if some of those like sub 1% captains end up getting boosted a little bit to the 2, 3, 4% range, because as it stands right now in large field tournaments, I feel like fading Najee Harris and those two quarterbacks in the captain / MVP position is going to be one of the better ways to get a little bit different in tournaments today, with this low total and so many people going to the quarterbacks and the one running back today.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I honestly think that captain MVP is going to be like a little bit all over the place. Maybe not on FanDuel, where it tends to condense to the two quarterbacks like pretty much every slate, but I think on DK you're going to see a fairly spread out captain rostership.
I think so as well, and I think that's probably for the best in a low total game like this one. Make sure you check out our sister site, Scores and Odds, as well. They got you covered with the Parlay IQ. Help you make some same game bets to win all the money now with FanDuel Sportsbook integration. One click of a button, you can just bring it right in there as well. Is it just a DFS night for you, Tim, or are you going to be placing some bets on this one?
Yeah, so the only prop site that's legal in my state is Underdog. So I either have to play the drafts there or do the parlays, but like I can't just bet like a single prop. So I don't get much into the prop world very often. Unfortunately,
see, I got
I wish it
Underdog
was,
and I got Prize Picks. So
yeah, I don't have
so
Prize
much better
Picks
than you.
Yeah, I know. I wish I had Prize Picks. It makes me so mad.
I actually have been quite enjoying the Underdog drafts a little bit, though. Like they've been going.
I've been playing those a ton
so far.
I've been playing those a ton. Like I play like probably 10 to 20 draft lineups a night, like an NBA, and then I just started like a couple weeks ago doing like the same amount like an NFL for the main slate, and it's a lot of fun.
I came second place in my very first ever main slate one, so that was pretty
Underdog.
So that was pretty fun. Now I'm addicted.
Yeah, you're hooked, customer for life now.
Exactly. My main team this week had the only players in the early games were Travis Kelce and Jerry Jeudy, and they're kind of letting me down so far. It was a Chargers stack in the afternoon games, but lo and behold, it may not be my week this week for Underdog. Let's get it back on some NFL Showdown. That'll do it for this edition of the Lineup HQ Showdown Strategy Show. Tim, you got anything for the people before we get out of here?
Nope. Thanks, DJ. Thanks, Steven. Happy New Year to you guys and to everyone listening.
Happy New Year to all of our listeners, and Britt and I will be back for crunch time as well, talking about the NBA and NFL slate. Until then, good luck on your NFL main slate teams. Good luck building your showdown lineups, and we will see you later tonight. Peace.